It's a saying that we have grown up listening to, that man is a social animal. But growing as adults, we have lost that sociality among us all. Look around you, loneliness is said to be the silent pandemic. But today I was fortunate enough to explore a practice that brings together the sociality out of us, a practice which fosters the community in human beings. And that was about the universal dance of peace. And today I have with me Mr. Yogesh, who has been facilitating this session. And over to Yogesh to tell us more about what this practice is about, what is Universal Dance of Peace, and how does it even help humanity at the juncture that we are standing today.
Yeah, firstly, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for receiving the practice. I guess Delhi has been difficult for this practice to sort of come to life.
Okay.
And today is almost like I think the 8th or 9th session that we're doing in the city. So it was nice to see a good 50 people turn up for the session. So Dances of Universal Peace is a sacred practice that's supposed to bring back a sense of oneness. So if we go back to ancient human traditions, our ancestors used to hold hands and come around fire. So no matter what used to happen, we always used to come back around the fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it was almost like this nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
It's almost like safe touch and a sense of that things may come and things may go, but we'll keep on singing together.
Wow. Yeah.
And we've actually underestimated the power of these rituals. We've just been like, acha, this is just like something, and so now in this more individualistic world, hyper individualism, where we are out to get what we want to, and all of our friends have actually become digital.
Yeah.
All of our social fabrics has gotten a little bit broken, and so now in person we don't really have friends. Even the most successful people, there's no close connections. So what we try to do is we try to bring people together through the medium of live music, of sound, singing, moving, dancing. That's the overall vibe, but there's smaller things that maybe I can dive deeper into.
Lovely. I mean, that we were talking about that communal gathering of people. This brought me to mind that India has had such rich traditions. Even when we look at the communal dances, the Bihu, the Garba, it's all about patterns and circling. So that's what I want to maybe begin the discussion about understanding the dance a bit deeper. That when I was practicing today with the group, we were a lot of making mandalas, the human mandalas. So what it is about that collection, that circle and community, what does it bring out of you?
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? In a circle, something's very beautiful happening. It's like we are all channeling our energies towards one point.
Yeah.
And just to even keep a circle going requires a certain amount of harmony.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, imagine a leader, right? A leader can just walk in, go and expect people to follow behind.
Yeah.
But for a circle to work, there has to be something called circle consciousness, which is human-centered design, holistic thinking, and some of those things. But yeah, I think the power in Dances of Universal Peace is the fact that we are singing. We are moving our energy. So ancient, let's say, tribals always knew that singing is almost like a technology. We, I'm really passionate about brain-machine interfacing. Have you heard of Neuralink?
Yeah, Neuralink.
So we don't have neural data yet, which is why all of the spiritual and the scientific is all like voodoo right now.
Yeah.
If mental health is still a voodoo because we don't have a device that measures energy.
Energy, yes. In psychology is also debate what is science, what is spirituality, and what measures. Though we have psychometrics and all, but still, a lot of us is still an enigma for us to explore.
But we know about emotions, right? Know when you're feeling safe, when you're feeling unsafe or anxious. But we don't have a device today. You can walk into a doctor's office and just get a scan or get an energy reading.
That's true.
All of this is like aura and little bit voodoo, right? But that changed, for example, when you got the blood tests. Suddenly, we changed the world of biology when we had blood tests, when we had red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. That's what's going to happen to human psychology. Then, through those devices, we'll be able to measure things like singing. We're moving the energy through our chakras. We're actually letting out stagnant energy. And in DUP, we basically sing sacred songs from different tribes and traditions from across the world.
Wow.
So we sing Buddhist songs, Sufi, Hindu, Christian, Maori tribes, Native American tribes. So each one of them have a deep understanding of the human mysticism in terms of sound. So they've already encoded all these things. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'll give you a simple example because you brought up Garba, like Kathak.
Yeah, Kathak.
Right? Kathak has wellness embedded in it already.
The tal, yes.
the tal, the rhythm, the masculine,
Yeah,
the feminine.
yeah.
So like that, words also have a lot. So when we sing these songs, a lot of things move. And when we move, right, a lot of us have inhibitions around movement and dance. So when we move, we're also working with things. But the main thing that we're trying to do is to create a liminal space where we can dissolve the sense of self.
Yeah, that's so true.
The problem that's happening is each one of us has we've inflated our sense of self. Ki I am so it's about me and my
completely
career and
endorse
my
that,
goals,
yeah.
right? And that's super difficult. Even if you succeed, you'll be lonely. So therefore, breaking that sense of individualism and coming to a sense of community. And therefore, the dance and singing is the upar wala part. The real part is this.
Yeah.
The real part is that we had lunch today. We're meeting
Yeah,
people
we
and
meet
we have
together.
communities, and we're going to stay in touch
That's
and
true.
hopefully do something towards the regeneration world. And maybe I'll just close with regeneration is sort of how do we take care of the things around us, not having an exploitative approach to things. Ki even in this, oh, I want the best from you. Oh, I want this, grasping, taking. As opposed to, you know what, I'm going to start by giving.
More transformational and transactional relationships that we call in today's terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if I just was picking up the words from here, they were about, you were mentioning that dissolving that sense of self. There are so many other practices that come from the lineage of Vipassana that I think you must have also experienced. I think they all have some shared lineage that we are coming and dissolving the universal dance of peace, because I experienced today the Aramic culture, the Greek culture. So how do you design your kind of sessions? Are they like inspired from one particular culture? How do you even get yourself educated into different cultures? Because it's an amalgamation of so many things.
Yeah. For me personally, the Dances of Peace facilitation is a culmination of my own journey. It's not been something that's been taken and topped down. I'm a Hindu, and someone I was dating a Muslim girl. I was trying to convert to Islam. Right, so it was a deeply intense relationship. I'm like, I have to run away from my house, my parents, and it was so intense. And over the course, I also slowly started moving out from conventional Islam to Sufi mysticism. So I found a book called 40 Rules of Love by Khalif
that's
Shafaq,
very famous, yes.
which is one of my favorite books of all time.
Lovely.
So it's a book, highly recommend the book. It's a book about how Rumi became Rumi.
Acha.
So Sufism, right? So I was also really interested. Then I did Vipassana. So I was like, there's truth in Buddhism also. And somehow everyone was so attached. I'm like, nay, my path only is going to lead to the one, and else's path is not good.
The egoistic essence that
Right?
we follow.
Yeah, and so that just didn't sit with me. So therefore, it's been like really drinking from different cultures. And now in DUP, what we do 6 to 7 dances in a session. So we try to design that we have one dance from each tradition. At the same time, we're going on a journey. We open with simple dances that are joyful. People get to know each other because it's strangers coming together. And we close with like blessing and love so that people want to God. But in between, we work with themes. Like today, we worked with the theme of forgiveness for a while.
Yeah, for
right?
a while, yeah.
And these are the stories. Like Jesus spoke about forgiveness throughout his life. But now it's black boxed and it remains a story. We just want to keep saying the story. My Hindi is not great, but they say, no, dharm ko manna aaram hai, lekin nibhana bahut difficult hai.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in religion now are like talking about it, but being forgiven at yourself, like Bismillah Rahman Rahim, which is being merciful and compassionate. That's what that means. But no, all people want to say is like, no, you have to say Bismillah, right? So dances are a way of, like how you mentioned, tasting the lineage.
Yes.
Let us taste the energy of Jesus and Mary, or Buddha, or Kali, or Shiva, and then you will actually feel an embodied idea of
sense.
this.
That I was coming to. Like, it's so much of experiential that rather than the doing and the ritualistic aspects of religion, we are being and feeling those values which these idols perhaps give us to the society. That's wonderful. And this brings to my mind that when we were closing the session today, there was like certain people started melting down. They were having that emotional outpouring. So this brings to my mind that this is also a space where so many psychological stress that is piling up gets open between. So any insights you want to share, like how is it beneficial for the well-being aspects if I speak about traditionally?
Yeah. Like now you're hitting upon the more juice of things, right? We can be seen as a spiritual practice or as a religious practice or singing or dancing or moving. Actually, it's none of that. It's a therapeutic practice. In Bangalore, we posted on 100 sessions in the last 2 years. Psychologists and psychiatrists have come to us and be like, what are you doing? Our clients are like very happy. So we've had like 4 or 5 clients be like, they're fine. The whole anxiety was gone for 6 months, which pills didn't do, which emotional contact didn't do. And And so then these psychologists came to our session
Hmm.
and they're like, oh my god, like DUP is actually a very layered thing. We're mixing so many things in a very accessible, simple way that the end user doesn't really understand what's happening. But what we're trying to create is a space for community, is a space for safety, is a space for some of our basic human needs are being met, which is what to be seen.
Yeah, to
We
be
don't
seen,
even
yeah.
look to each
Yeah.
other's eyes, right?
That's so important that throughout the session we were holding hands, we were staring into each other's balls. Otherwise, we are just moving like morons throughout the metros and the cities like Delhi.
Yeah, and you know, and like it's that connection
That connection.
that is, it's almost like a hypothesis ki maybe divine is in you.
Yeah.
Maybe that there's divinity inside us. When we spend time in DUP, you can feel that this person has love in them, and so now we're harnessing all the positivity. So now you can see it, right? In the blessing dance,
That we share it. And
we
make
were
it-
sharing
yeah.
our blessing, and we are as powerful as God when
Hmm.
we have that pure intention of giving.
Yeah.
And we're creating a space where there is no competition.
Yeah.
No one's like, tere paas 3 blessing hai, and there's 20 people now, so
Yeah.
you choose who to bless.
You
No,
choose.
there's infinite amount of energy if you have the purity
Yeah.
of idea. So,
Yeah.
it has been a very therapeutic practice in
Mm.
Bangalore where we've been able to create a safe space where people are like, no matter what happens, once in 2 weeks, I'm gonna dance, I'm going to sing. Which is why when people move out of Bangalore, they're like, oh my god, I need a DUP community. Which you saw a few people, right, in
Yeah.
Delhi today who found that.
Yeah, there were
Um,
people who came from Bangalore, the experience, and now they are in Delhi now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely. I think that what you're making to share with me is like in my metaphoric sense, like you jump into a pool of energy,
Yeah.
you share your energy, and then others' energy inspires you, and you collectively rise up. Like together, everyone achieves together more. I think.
This only happens, in my understanding, if the
Yeah.
facilitator has ways of connecting to the
Hmm.
source.
Yeah.
Because the energy is not, where is the energy coming from?
Yes.
Right?
You're at the center of the circle also.
Yeah, so facilitators often do the mistake of adding their own energy.
Ah. Okay.
So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pump energy.
Hmm,
That's not even
that's not it.
that's not going to be enough to bring that space. The facilitator has to be self-effaced, which means
Mhm.
if you observe a lot of times when I was doing, I'm closing my
You're
eyes
closing your eyes.
and
yeah.
I'm trying to be like, it's not me, which is really difficult, right? We are the center of our universe.
Yeah.
Like right now, you are separate and I'm separate.
Hmm.
But if I'm able to be like, okay, I'm just a medium and this is happening through me, every time I'm not taking the credit for it and I'm allowing the light to pass through, then we are guided by the lineages.
Lineages.
So we're
Yes,
actually,
yes,
when we
yes,
invoke
yeah.
the Christian lineage, you can, clairvoyants actually see angels
Yeah.
in the space who are
Wow.
doing all of that work, you know. So when someone's blessing, there's just magic happening because the universe also wants this.
Yeah.
to
If
happen.
you just become the medium and not really the source which is going there.
Yeah, which is really difficult. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, in this neo spiritual world,
It's
everyone's a
not possible.
shaman now.
Everyone is
Everyone's
it's
like
me.
everyone's like spiritual, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm a channel. People think channel is like FM right now. 93.5 laga diya, fir 98.3. No, it takes a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I am rarely a channel. Like it's almost like, yeah, there's some attenuation. Even if 10% divinity comes through me, I'm grateful because we are creating these blocks. So I think that's also the crisis of our time. Is
Yeah.
we have things. These are practices that were facilitated by shamans, Manya,
Yeah.
right? Shamans are people who lived on the land.
Yeah, the
They were-
shamanic practices I've
right?
heard, yeah.
They were on the land for generations.
Hmm.
So they took commitment, responsibility, accountability.
Yeah.
They stayed there and they used to like work with them and they connected with the spirits, ancestors. Now someone goes for a 5-day workshop.
And then this
Comes,
is certified coach.
Certified shaman will do
Yeah.
something and probably go to another city. There's
Yeah.
no responsibility, accountability.
Yeah.
People only know how to open
That's what I was
spaces.
coming to, like, how did you become a facilitator yourself? Like, how is the process like in this? Because it's such a myriad practice. You are evoluting into yourself. So, is there any structure? Is it like becoming or being, or what is it?
And that's a difficult one. uh,
Maybe your journey as a facilitator. Like, how do you call yourself, like, I am ready to now facilitate this session?
I'm not. Like, it's a constant push and pull, you know. Sometimes I'm like, I should stop facilitating. Right?
Therapists
and,
need therapy.
and I'm going to share something honestly here. You can put this up or not put this up. Like, for example, for a long time,
Mhm.
like, I was polyamorous, right? And I've been exploring open relationships. Being the leader of a community like DUP and engaging sexually, even in a very positive, consensual, loving manner with many people, I'm like, yeah, I was not sure. You know what I'm saying?
I
I'm
get
like,
that, yeah.
I'm not sure if I am ready enough for this practice. I'm a boy. I'm a 28-year-old boy who's like trying to do this. So I can be power dynamics, controlling, just like masculine characteristics. So I'm also like, it's unfurling slowly. So I'm like, I think the one thing is to stay humble and to constantly check in key if something's happening in life, to step out, to not be attached. Like, I'm considering doing a political consulting gig in like next month.
Okay.
So I might like pause some of this for a while until I get ready. So the one advice I have for all facilitators is not be in a rush.
Yeah.
There is no rush.
There's no rush.
There's no rush. The world doesn't need your saving. You just need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of wounded facilitation that's happening. So imagine I'm walking now and I fell down and I have a fracture, right? So I can stay here and help someone else not fall down.
Yeah, you can tell them.
I can tell them, but I don't know how to heal the fracture unless I've healed it myself, unless I've figured out a sling and told people. So unless we have healed fully, it's a little difficult. And my own path has included Vipassana meditation, has included mushroom journeys, psilocybin by myself in a very sacred, ritualistic manner, has also involved working out, sports, has involved Kathak. I do Kathak in the evening and Jiu-Jitsu in the morning.
Oh my
I'm
God,
trying to balance my own masculine and feminine energies. And I guess also last bit would be a meditation called heartfulness meditation.
I've heard that, yes.
Yeah, so heartfulness is a path I've committed to now. And it's really about just working with your heart space. So I think some of these add up. I guess a big part of this is also being able to be an extrovert and having some of these abilities to articulate, to build community, to travel, and to live in the gift economy. All of these sessions have been offered for free.
Yeah, it's
so there's
like
been,
pay as you can. Right?
Yes. So
yeah, I mean, it's all about becoming and being humble enough that there is so much more to learn, and this is what I know. I think that's what makes a facilitator and a teacher also in that perspective in very common terms. Now, as we are towards the conclusion of the session, there's one caveat that I was witnessing over there. Someone really asked to, that there are many such practices which often become cult-like, right?
So we brought that up today, right?
Yes. So how do you really deal with such allegations, or how do you or such kind of controversial aspects, or just see the practice? Because in your hands it might be fine, but there are people who are gonna inspired by this practice to make up their own clinics or even workshops that are gonna be commercially
smart, not bad. I like some of the journey of the questions that we've been on. That's why I said I think like expressive arts, so to say, right?
Exactly. That's like arts, everyone has something to say for.
Right? And it's like doing yoga or it's doing fitness, or it's like in each modality is actually the facilitator. In the beginning you spoke about rituals.
Yeah.
If I've seen some really good pujaris, people who do really explain what's happening. They are really holding space during a housewarming or a marriage. They are telling you why they're doing what you're doing. And they're trying to break down it from being a ritual to a real spell, for lack of a better word, right? Like, what are we doing with food?
Why are we doing it? Like, Annapurna ko yaad kare to kyun kar rahe? It's not just for the sake of like food, but the entire cosmos that's shaping the food that we are made of.
Correct. And it's not just symbolically, actually energetically also there's things that are moving. So therefore, I think a facilitator needs to be super mindful. Even DUP is practiced in 70 countries across the world. Some circles would be cult-like, right? Because what often happens into these spaces, right? People want to go deeper.
Yeah.
And the reality is that deeper you go, everything is culty. You know what I explain? It's like from the outside, it is like if you were to go to a football stadium and you see a bunch of people cheering together, it seems like a strong cult.
It's like a continuum. On the one extreme, you have totally invested people, in between who are exploring multiple practices, and some who are just like me, who are like making an entry into it, if I were to put it.
So on the one hand, I often ask people to define what a cult is. And here's the best. I've asked this question to around 200 people. My crowdsourced answer is, there's something called culture.
Culture and cult. Oh my God.
So that's where it comes from. Culture, culture. Culture is everything we accept. ठीक है, नाचना गाना कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी ये सब culture है, ठीक है, very contextual. Different cultures, different things are okay. Above culture at the level there is something called criminal. Criminal is something that we don't agree. We've agreed that this is not good. So if you do this, you'll be sent to jail. Cult is anywhere in between.
In between.
It's not criminal.
Play with the words and the etymology.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
But neither is it fully accepted.
Yeah.
Like if you were to do a tantra ritual where people are having sex in India, it'd be like a criminal offense. If it'd be somewhere in the US, it'd be like culture maybe. And some other place it'd be cult.
It depends upon the culture again where you're bringing up yourself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is why the reason I share this is in DUP, you have to be very aware what is the culture of the
Yeah.
space.
What is acceptability norms and the social norms that we need to respect in a community?
Exactly. So right now, Operation Sindoor just happened.
Yeah.
The war just happened. So today, if I'm going to bring a Sufi dance saying Allah, 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 and if I'm
Extremist ideologies might be after you next.
right, and we should be aware of what's happening in each space.
Yes.
Maybe there's been some religious trauma in certain spaces, so we don't open certain conversations in certain spaces.
Agreed to you.
And maybe in some spaces we have to make it more accessible,
Hmm.
and we break it down. For example, Allah, right? The most contested word here. Allah actually just means unity.
Yeah.
Allah is a word that means unity, and
Oh,
it's like
really?
Om. It's a
Okay.
very beautiful word. If you say it, Al, your
Allah.
tongue will touch your palate.
Yeah.
Al, La.
Allah. Actually, I just wish to add that I'm a Sindhi myself. And in our sense, we say that we are Hindu, but we say Allah chhake India. मतलब क्या कर रही है? पता ही नहीं क्या कर रही है. So Allah is very kind of communal saying.
Communal
now,
word,
yeah.
right? So Al is like, Al
Yeah.
is yes,
Yes.
La is
Allah.
no.
Yeah.
So it is yin
Yes.
and yang.
Oh my God.
So it is
yeah.
Al, La. It is
Allah.
this and that. The yin and yang, yes and no. So it just means it's the word. You know, Rahman is solar.
Oh.
So you say Rahman like Rahman,
Oh.
and Rahim
Rahim.
inward. Rahim is from the womb.
Oh.
So Rahim is the moon, Rahman is the sun, and Bismillah Rahman Rahim would therefore mean in the name of unity, both polarities are one.
Oh.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So
can
now if we
get-
explain it in this way and we ask people to, let's say, move very different, you know?
Yeah, now when they will be moving, they won't be having the religious thought, but the more spiritual and the more movement and
Yes.
energetic aspect.
Energetic, which is
Yeah.
why our work is to take religion, is to wipe out all the dirt from it, the
And capture the very
conditioning from
soul
it,
of it.
and get the essence of it.
Yes.
Right? A few people have come who are like, they don't like doing Sufi dances. They used to sit out.
Mm.
And we also offer that in DUP. If you're doing, you don't like a Buddhist dance, you sit out.
You
You don't
sit
want to
out.
Hindu, you sit out. So they've started doing it to now they're like, you know what? I have found my Ganesha and Krishna in Allah.
Oh my God.
Ya Shakur, right?
Yeah.
That's the juice of the work, because Allah and Ram and none of them would be happy if we are fighting over each other. They want us to fight against, and I'll be honest, the devil. We don't speak about the devil too often because you know, she's Manya's also rolling her eyes. She's like, going to cut this part out. But basically,
Not really.
like Orthodox has misused it so much that we're like, ठीक है.
Yeah.
We've reached into a non-dual world in
We
spirituality.
just don't invest our thought work into anything, and that's where the ritualistic and the cultic aspects actually come into the practice.
Correct. Yeah. So now people are like, there's no right or wrong only.
Hmm.
You know, they'll quote Rumi, outside the field of right doing and wrong doing, I will meet you there. No, some things are right. I think that a rape is not good.
Yeah. There are
Right?
certain universals we agree upon.
Principles and fundamentals. And that's the voice. So what every religion wants is for us to do the jihad internally. Is to fight our
Fight
own
within.
battles inside between voices of greed, fear, insecurity, even like self-hatred, right? I'm sure each one of us, we're going home and we're like, you're not good enough. That's
Yeah.
the devil. You move that voice through using a divine angel voice, right? And so the fight is not between religions. The
It's
fight
within.
is internal
Exactly.
between our polarities, and to also have the compassion for the devil eventually. But to know that it's a pathway.
Path.
Everyone's at different level. At a level of Sufism, maybe like where Bistami or Rumi was, you are God. There is no difference between you or God.
It's
And I
all
do-
about glowing up and evolving yourself into something better.
Yeah, and at the pace it's something else. Sorry, I know I went on board. I know I want to keep
Not
this
really.
crisper.
I mean, that speaks of
But
the
I'll
passion
keep
that you have for the
Sorry.
practice. Nothing about that, and really like love talking with you because I practice now, and then now I'm hearing the theoretical and the perceptive part of it. It's making even more sense to me. So if the viewers of the podcast wish to connect with you and experience this DUP themselves, then how can they contact you or anywhere in the cities, because it's a pan-Indian audience that we want to cater to.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram, I'm called Evolving Sapien.
Okay.
Like Homo sapien, but evolving
Evolving
sapien.
sapien.
I feel like we need to
Perfect.
move and adapt as things happen. So evolving
Yeah.
sapien on Instagram, and the Dances of Universal Peace is a handle called DUPBLR.
Okay.
DUP is Dances of Universal Peace.
BLR.
BLR is Bangalore. That's been the hub from where we've been trying to create other chapters.
Perfect.
But you can also just Google dances of universal peace. You'll find a bunch of things.
Definitely.
And yeah.
Great. So I'll be mentioning and tagging you on our description box for the social media handles. And if anyone is interested, contact Yogesh and just become a part of the cerebral aspect of energy, what we can just create together and enjoy for it. So thank you so much, Yogesh, for your time. And it was really a blissful experience because when I was hearing you, you were not even like standing just like I was, but you were moving, and that just created the dynamics that you put up in your facilitation. So thank you so much for your time, and we will be back again with the next episode of Safe Side. And this was brought to you by Skillet Empower India Foundation, and I was Manya, your host. Namaste.
Manya's amazing. Take care, guys. Bye.